we have put the first coat of finish on top of these. So they've been stained and they've been finished, and now we're sanding them down and gonna finish them once again, and then they will be ready to go. So this one you can see has been sanded, but we've not wiped it off yet. And there's the 2 bookshelves. We've got to get those done, and hopefully it'll be in the next week or so. Hey guys, so Steve and I have almost completely finished the bookshelves. As you can see, we just have a little bit of work to do along the bottom to trim it, and what are called stays for the top of this, so that when I open it, it will stay open and I don't have to hold it open with one hand. But he finished some of the work without me yesterday when I wasn't here, so I haven't had a chance to give him his sweater. So I've told him when he comes up today, I have a question for him, and he has to come up to the office to see, so we can discuss the question. And I'm going to present him with his sweater.
I didn't do it, you can't put it.
No, you left this in the bookshelves. It's not mine. Well.
I repeat. Wow. Steve style.
Steve style.
Up there with my other uniform parts.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
I might do a bit of an effort right now.
I am doing a little eco-printing this morning. It's actually the first time I've been able to do any eco-printing in my new office, and it feels really good. I have fabric spread out all over the place drying. I did a bunch of mordanting this past week, and it feels so nice to work in here. So I thought I would chat with you just a little bit about the gardening that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of months. I have a big container full of seeds for my dye garden. I'm hoping to have a nice big blooming garden full of dye plants, so it's easy to harvest for my own needs, and also so I can have classes out here and people can see the plants that they're working with. I think it's so much more meaningful when you actually get to work with the actual physical plant and not just an extract or something dried, but you can see how it grows, you can see what it looks like, you can make a connection with it, and then maybe even find it out in the wild or grow it in your own garden. So I'm excited about that. I have lupine seeds. So this is what lupine looks like. This one is called mountain lupine. I found this one when I was doing research on lupine. It's a self-seeding annual around here. It will reseed itself, and sometimes will grow as a perennial. But this one is specifically for mountainous areas, dry areas, more alpine regions. And so I thought I'd give it a try and see how it works here and see if I can grow it as a perennial. It also has a really dark blue flower, and the blue flowers, the blues and purples in the lupine, are what make actually a really pretty teal color. I've not eco-printed with it yet, so I'm excited to try that. I also have Dyer's Coreopsis or Coreopsis tinctoria. Anytime you have tinctoria in the scientific name, it means it's got a history as a dye plant. The same thing as officinalis. If it's something officinalis, it usually means it was the medicinal plant that was used. So, or it was used as a medicinal plant. So, Coreopsis, which makes a really beautiful color and a fabulous print. I have Hopi Black Sunflower and Hopi Red Amaranth that I'm going to try growing. I've grown the sunflower before and it did great. I haven't tried the amaranth, but I know it grows well around here. I've also got a red Queen Anne's lace. Let me show you a picture of this. It's called Dara Queen Anne's lace. Queen Anne's lace is usually a white flower, a big umbel flower with a tiny little purple flower in the center, but this one is red and pink. So I thought I'd give that a try because I know you can use, or I've used the whole top of the plant for dyeing before, yellows and green colors, but I thought it'd be cool to see what kind of a print that the red flower makes. I'm doing red nasturtium, which makes a pretty blue print, hopefully a nice big section of indigo, so I can do some fresh indigo dyeing and maybe even do a indigo vat from the fresh indigo. And I think that's it. I've got a lot of plants already in the garden, but I'm just trying to add more that will have fun prints and hopefully have this place just covered in color of all kind and be able to go outside and pick the flowers I want to print with. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'll keep you up to date as we grow things. Hopefully I can start them in here because I've got lots of sunshine, and then move them outside as it gets a little warmer. Probably in March or April I'll start the seeds. Our last frost date here is May 15th, though it's rare that we get frost that late. It's possible. So most people don't start putting out their tender plants until after Mother's Day. All right? Good morning, everyone. It's great to have you back. It's Friday, February 23rd, almost March, which means almost spring, and I'm so glad it's almost here. Winter doesn't usually bother me at all. I love the cold weather. I love snuggling up by the fire, but I'm really excited about getting into the garden this year and growing lots of flowers and dye plants. So I'm looking forward to the warm weather. We had a crazy winter thunderstorm here a couple nights ago. I don't know if you guys have ever been a part of one of those, but it's a thunder and lightning storm in the middle of cold weather, which doesn't usually happen. And it seems like we get them a couple of times a year. And it's just weird for it to be really cold and to have thunder and lightning happening outside. But this one was really close. We're, up off the side of a mountain. I look out the window because I can see the ridge going up that way. So there's some height up here, and it seems like when there's lightning going on, it's usually close. But this one was really close. Leaf and I were brushing our teeth on Wednesday night, and there's thunder rumbling, and we just saw this explosion outside the bathroom window, this bright light go off, and at the exact same time, this massive boom and crack. And so we knew it hit somewhere close. The light stayed on, except in Kaya's bedroom. She came out and she's like, "Why is my light out?" So it tripped some of our breakers. And that was fine, no big deal, but we were worried that it hit something outside, that a tree might be on fire, that it hit the chicken coop or whatever. So we went looking around as safely as we could because it was still raining and lightning outside. And then we smelled burning rubber coming from our laundry room and realized that our modem, our router, and the little box that helps regulate the temperature from our solar panels, all of that was just fried. So luckily that's all that it was. It didn't affect anything else. But the next day, some of our neighbors from farther down the mountain said they didn't have internet, they didn't have phone. Turns out our whole road, the lightning hit something that affected the whole road. And they came out to fix the boxes, the power company and the internet company, and had to go up 4 or 5 different poles and said everything was just black inside of those boxes that has all the electrical equipment. I don't know where it actually struck, but it was, you know, since it was just the equipment, we were able to fix that. It was kind of neat. Leaf and I talked a bunch about lightning and how it happens and why it's more rare to happen in the winter, and how it isn't like this bolt coming down from the sky, but actually 2 attracting forces going, one coming from below and one coming from above. Yeah, so it was kind of cool. But the internet's back on, so I'm going to podcast today. Hi. I'm Maria. This is Ninja Chickens. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. I have a bunch to talk to you about. It's not all knitting. We've got some finished objects and some works in progress. I also have some acquisitions, things that I purchased, and also things that I've been given that I'm really excited to show you. And then a little bit about chit-chat, things that are going on around here. The first thing I want to show you, because I just think this is so cool, is actually kind of an acquisition. It was given to me by my husband's family over Christmas. I'm not much of a sewer, and I've only done one quilt, a little quilt in my life, so I don't know much about it, and that's why I wanted to mention it to you guys. So this is, if you can see, a very large quilt, all pieced together with these little bitty circles, right? You can see the inside or the underside and then the top side. And you can see there's parts where it's not connected anymore. So my husband's great-grandmother, Leaf's great-great-grandmother, owned a feed shop with her husband. And every time she had an extra feed bag, she would cut it up into little circles and put it into a quilt. So this is a massive feed sack quilt that she made, great-great-grandma, and it was gifted to me. So the whole thing, I mean, it's hundreds. You can see it's probably 10 pounds of quilt right here. It has to be at least a king size. But the problem is it's only held together by these little pieces in between each circle. And some, I mean, I don't know how many years old. It could be 100 years old at least. And some of these pieces are broken and falling apart. And I want to know how to preserve this. Is there a way, for you quilters out there, that I could have this sewn onto a backing of some sort? I mean, each piece would have to be sewn down so that it doesn't, so something doesn't catch underneath, because it'd be so easy to catch under this and break it. But this is some amazing history right here. It's so cool. All the colors, all the pieces from hundreds of feed sacks. Oh, and the string that she used to attach them was the string that closed the feed sack. So every bit of this was reused pieces from her store, from great-great-grandma's store. So I want to figure out how to preserve this somehow so it's not just sitting in a bag, and so that I can put it on a bed safely. Look at this one. I really like this one. This is a dark one. And yeah, I haven't even had the chance to open it up fully because I'm worried about pieces coming apart. It's, yeah, I mean, considering how old it is, I think it's in fabulous condition still, but I think it needs something behind it and to be attached to it for it to stay structurally sound. And then it'll be like, I spy. You can say, I spy with my little eye a blue flower, and then try and find it in these hundreds of circles. So this is one of the things I wanted to show you. If you have any thoughts, places I can contact, or what I might be able to do, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear. While I'm on acquisitions, I'll just tell you about some of the other things that I've received. Another gift that I got, which was for my birthday, is this amazing hand quilted and sewn bag. I could use it for notions or a small sock project, but this was woven, did I say quilted? Hand woven and sewn. This was woven by my friend Nikki of Wool and Violet. She has, in the past couple of years, gotten into weaving and has been making these beautiful flower patterns and then making bags out of them. And I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. And I love the attention to detail and all the effort that was put into each little stitch. Isn't that amazing? So she says it is cotton and wool. And then it's unlined so you can see the inside, how all the stitches, the weaving worked on the underside too. So I just wanted to share that with you. She does have them in her store. I think it's Wool and Violet on Etsy, but I'll put it down below. She does have these in her store occasionally with different colors. So yeah, there's her little label. How cute. Okay, let me see. Another acquisition. This is something that I purchased because I was really excited about the mystery of it. So I love yarn by Moleview, Paula in the UK. And she makes naturally dyed, really stunning yarns. And I've followed her for a long time. And when I saw that she was coming out with what was called a Whimsy Club, I got intrigued. She said, you don't know what it's going to be. There are often times where she can have yarn spun up at one of the local mills, but it's a small batch. There isn't enough of a certain fiber or whatever, or it's something funky that she's not sure she wants to do in large batches. So she has just small amounts spun up. And she thought, what a perfect opportunity for making a fun mystery club. So you sign up for the club. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. You know it's going to be fun and different, and you don't know what color it's going to be. So it's a complete mystery, and you're putting it in her hands, but I've never seen anything that she's done that was not beautiful. So what I received, this was the January Whimsy Club, and this is her label, and it is, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Maybe just the tiniest bit deeper in color. It's a really beautiful pink, orange taupe. And it is 50% baby camel and 50% silk. Inspired by the earth, still warm with color, even in the depths of winter. It says this is the January Whimsy Club. And along with it, she sends a little gift from somewhere near her in Wales. So this time she sent in a bag, Helen Mon, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, 2 types of sea salt from near her in Wales. How cool is that? So pure white sea salt and oak smoked sea salt. And this is more like flakes. I didn't even know there was an area in that part of the world that produced sea salt. Well, I guess I've heard of Celtic sea salt, but I just never thought of sea salt from Wales. And so it's really cool. And I've just been recently getting more into natural sea salts and the minerals that they provide. And this oak smoked one is so good. I've had this, well, since January, and it's been in my office, and I've been wanting to podcast and put this in here so I can bring it back to the kitchen, because I want to use it more. So here it is. Whimsy, a club for the fickle. And it says, down the hill from where I live, down on the roads and along the coast, there you will find a little Welsh isle of Anglesey. And here is where your gift was made. Remember, the simplest stuff is what makes life great. So that is where the yarn came from, where the salt came from. So if it's something you're interested in, if you like that kind of a mystery, you should check her out. Moleview yarn. She's Moleview on Instagram and as well on the internet. And I think she's taking entries for her March club right now. So there's that. And I think there's one other thing. Yes. So let me grab them up here behind me. Can you see them? Nope. I was watching Amy Beth of the Fat Squirrel podcast, and she had been talking about getting some of her sock yarns spun into or knitted into sock tubes by someone who has a sock knitting machine. And I thought, that's a fabulous idea. Looking that there's most of my stash right here. And I had a lot of sock yarn that I just wasn't getting to as quickly as I wanted to. I would look at it and think, oh, that's beautiful, but that's not the project I want to work on right now. Or wouldn't that be great for a future gift, you know, for holiday giving? So I decided to go ahead and send it off. And I sent it to Knit Knot Studios on Etsy. Sorry, my notes are right here. Knit Knot Studios. I had looked up the one that Amy Beth recommended, and she actually is closed because she's gotten so many orders for the socks. So this was Knit Knot Studios. She did a fabulous job. She had a range of something like 56, 60, 64, all the way up to, I think, 84 stitches. You can request the gauge you would like and the number of stitches, which makes it really personalizable. Is that the right word? You can personalize it. So I got these 7 skeins done. And Toby has already said that he liked this yarn, but I didn't tell him what I was doing with it. So I'll be giving him these as a holiday gift. And my mother loves green, so she might be getting these. I think she'd wear sparkle. Kaya has requested some smoky pink. And of course, Leaf wanted crazy. So I have a bunch, but like, look at how long this is. That's more than enough for at least 2 shorty socks, if not longer ones, because you cut in the heel, the toe, and then you add a cuff. So that's more than enough for 2 socks. I think I can get at least 1 full long pair out of each of these and possibly 2 regular size. So I'm really excited. This is a really pretty one with some tweed in it. So yeah, if you have a bunch of sock yarn that's just staring at you and you know you're not getting to it as you should, this is a great way to have some quick projects to work on and to knock out some gifts, because I know that a few of these are going to be going to for holiday gifts for people. And I can just add in the toes, the heels, and the cuffs to the exact length of their foot. All right. So let me tell you about some finished objects. Toby has one, and I'll be calling him in here soon so he can show it to you. He's in a meeting right now, but he's made himself another hat, and it's really pretty. And I'm excited because he's really been enjoying knitting. So hopefully he'll pick up another something soon. It seems like hats, he's done 1 cowl and all the rest has been hats. I really want to get him into knitting a sweater because I think he would enjoy that. I think he would like a longer term project that maybe has a worsted weight yarn or something that he can kind of, I don't know, see a big final project, but we'll see. My only finished object is something you have not seen yet, and it is called the Sweet Baby Cap. And I knit this out of an alpaca wool mix. Let me see. 75% alpaca, 20% merino, 5% silk. So it is super soft. Very, very soft. And I dyed it in indigo. And it's just a simple little baby cap. This is supposed to be the 6-month. And I even went down a needle size. I think that's going to fit that baby's head for a little while. But a friend of mine just had a baby, so I wanted to knit her up something quick. And I think it's adorable. Super soft. I got indigo all over my hands. So I'm hoping that most of it has rubbed off. That's going to rub off, and the rest of it won't be rubbing off on the baby's head. A good one for those of you who know someone who might be having a baby or has just had one and you want to give them a little something sweet. And that's all I have for finished objects. I've been working hard on gardening stuff, on finishing the bookshelves. I forgot to mention they're right behind me. There's one here. There's a seat that goes along here. Let me show you. It's a mess right now because I've got all my knitting stuff on it. There's my seat that looks out the window. And there's the other shelf. And you can see the lovely crown moldings. we put on these big moldings so that it looked a little more fancy, kind of like Harry Potter. That's what I told him the requirement was, that it needed to look like Harry Potter's library, and I love it. The funny thing is, it just looks like it's always been here. You know, the rest of this cabin is so wonky. The floors are not even with the doors. Like, we built it in, I think, 6 weeks and threw it up with a bunch of used material. So it is not an extremely professionally built little cabin. But these beautiful professionally built bookshelves still feel like they fit in this little space. It's really nice, and I love it. I'm excited for warm weather when I can open the window and sit and look out over the gardens and read while I'm working or something. So yes, so I've been working on that. I've also been working on a couple of projects, eco printing projects, and a few other things that I can tell you about later. But I did cast on. I have one work in progress, and I did cast something on. So you have seen this before. This is the Cartagena sweater by We Are Knitters, and it will look like this when it's done. It's a large, oversized sweater that Kaya had wanted, and she chose a cream and a terracotta color. So here is one panel. This will either be the front or the back. And I finished that, and then I'm working on the second panel. And then you'll do the arms, and then you seam it all together, and I think that's when you then add the neck ribbing. But it's going pretty fast now. I had put it aside to do a couple other projects that I needed to get done quicker, and I really enjoy it. I think I've said this before, I'm not usually a cotton fan. I usually like the handle of wool over plant fiber, but this is super soft. It's really nice. It doesn't feel, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, cotton's usually more stiff, and this isn't at all. It's a very soft cotton, and it works up really well. So I'm hoping to get this done in the next month so that I can see, so Kaya can wear it as it warms up. So that's that one. And then the other one that I have is something completely new. I have had this yarn for years, and I'll show it to you first in the skein form. So this was a yarn that we got early on in the fern fiber days. So for those of you who are new, I used to run a business called Fern Fiber, which was a naturally dyed yarn business with my friend Nikki. And we had these two smaller fleeces that we thought would look really nice together. One of them was Leah, who's an Icelandic, and Junebug, who was alpaca. And the Icelandic was gray, creamy, and the alpaca was brown. And we thought they would just look really pretty together. They had longer staple, so, but they were both the same length in the individual fleeces. So we brought them to the mill, and the mill that we were using at the time, we would tell her, do what you think would be best for this yarn. Instead of saying, I want a fingering weight in that fleece, and it not being the right fleece for that weight yarn, we would let her have free rein and say, you know, do what you think will make the fleece the most beautiful as a yarn. So she said, I think this one would look great as a Lopi. Now, we should have been more clear. It was a misunderstanding on our part, because Lopi, to me, I think of Let Lopi. It's usually a rounded worsted weight. It's somewhat lightly spun. And the Lopi that she was thinking of was very different. So this, as you can see, is a very bulky yarn. In fact, it ended up being 48 yards in 4.4 ounces. It's very heavy. And it was very, very overspun. So you can see, really, without me even taking it apart, the little curls and crinkles in it. So we just couldn't sell it. It wasn't something that someone would pay, you know, $20, $30 for a skein to make up for the amount that we spent for the fleece and the spinning. So I knit a couple things out of a few of them, like a cowl to show how it could be knit up. But really what I've just been sitting on this for a while, and I thought, wouldn't it make
a really nice heavy lap blanket, especially for sitting here at this seat, like to put it on those chilly days when I just want something over my lap. I had 7 skeins left. So what is that? That's over 2 pounds of blanket. So I got started on that and realized how overspun it was. So I would have to go up to the top of my stairs and let the whole skein fall down to the bottom and just let it kind of hang and unravel as I wound it back up into a ball. I know I can put it on my spinning wheel and probably just go backwards and unspin some of it, but it was late. I didn't feel like coming out to the office and getting on my wheel, so I would just hang it down all the way down the stairwell and just let it twist and just watch all the cats go like this and want to chase it. It was pretty funny. So here's how far I've gotten. This is 3.5 skeins worth. I just started my 4th skein. That's it. 3.5 skeins worth. It's going to be a long or a wide blanket, but really basically just double this amount. It's going to be wider and not very tall, but it is a hefty blanket. But I wasn't doing anything else with it. I've had it for years. I think it would have been not enough for a sweater and too heavy for a garment. I'm knitting it on size 15s, which is a 10 millimeter. Is that 10? Yes. US 15, 10 millimeter. And just knitting every row. So it's an easy, relaxing project. Yeah, and it's super soft. For Icelandic and alpaca, it's mixed up together really well. It's a beautiful yarn once you take out a little of the extra spin. So that is my other work in progress. I need to think of something to cast on for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival because I will be going there. I'm heading out. I'll be spending almost a week there. And I'm really excited to see everybody again who was there last year and to see some of you who hadn't been there yet. Let me know if you're coming. I'm really excited to see you guys. I have no idea what I want to look for as far as yarn buying. I have no idea what to cast on for the trip. I've got all these projects, all these designs in my head that I want to do, but I know how I am when I start a new design and how it takes up all my focus. And I feel like I want to have just some free fun time to knit some other people's things. So we'll see what I get started on. So I think there's just 2 other things I wanted to mention. This is part of the chit chat. The first thing is a book that I listened to over the past week. Actually, I listened to it in 2 days because it was such a good book. I was looking up some book recommendations on racism that I had seen given out in the community that people had recommended as a good book on where to start, how to combat racism, things like that. And I came across under some of the also recommended books in Audible, a book called The Body Is Not an Apology, and it is by Sonya Renee Taylor. And the first thing that came across, or that called my attention to it, was the cover. So I was looking on Audible, and it was, just a cover of the book and then the little link where you can click listen to a sample. The cover drew me in immediately. It is a picture of a woman in all her glory laying down in just a pile of flower petals of different colors and covered over her delicate parts in purple petals. And she just looks magnificent. You can tell she is a goddess. And I was just like, oh, that looks nice. I need to read that book. And so by the title, I thought, oh, this is about comfort in your own body. This is about, fat shaming, body health, stuff like that. Just from the title is what I thought. Radical self-love is what it says in the title. It was a really good book. First of all, the author, Sonya Renee Taylor, narrates the book. And you can hear in how she narrates it, the passion in her words. I can imagine her standing up at a poetry slam competition and just killing it, because you can just feel that. And I love that. There's only a couple times in the book where she's reading it and she she mispronounces something or she messes up, and instead of having it edited, she stops, she pauses, and she continues. And it's like someone's reading it, like they're reading it to you, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I had a hard time with is that with all that passion and excitement for her subject, I would get so caught up in something that she had just said and be thinking about that, and then realize 2 minutes later that she'd gone on to something else. I'm like, oh wait, I missed it. I'd have to go back because I was all caught up. So I kept pausing, thinking, then I'd start it again, or I'd have to rewind it. But I want to get the book and actually have a physical copy because I feel like then I can really sink into it. But it was, like I said, it was about loving yourself and being comfortable in your own body, in that she reminded me some things that, you know, in my head, I know I'm exactly the person that I should be. I'm in the body that I should be, and this is who I was born to be. However, when media, people, the outside world continually says, you're not thin enough, you're not fat enough, you're not big enough, you're not small enough, your boobs aren't big enough, your butt's not small, you know, whatever it is, the comparison that's being made against you and who you are in your body is hard to constantly fend off. So even though my head says, I'm perfect the way I am, my heart feels it when I see model after model being called, this is the perfect body, this is the body you should achieve, this is, you know, the way you should work out so you could be thinner, stronger, whatever. So one thing that she mentioned was, there were two things that really smacked me across the face that I was like, oh yes, I needed to hear that. One was that when we are born, you know, these perfect little beings. However we are born, that is the body we are given. And until at least a few years down the road, that's all the body that we want, right? You want to show it, mommy, mommy, watch me jump. Daddy, daddy, watch me tumble. You know, that's all you want to do, is show what you can do with this great body. And it isn't until outside forces say, maybe you're not tall enough to throw the basketball that well, or maybe you're not strong enough to do the cartwheel, or maybe, you know, whatever. It's not until those outside voices put the voice in our head that we're not good enough that we start thinking, my body's not good enough, right? Nothing changed about my body and who I am and who I was born to be, except those outside voices. And so I stopped listening to who I was as a 1 and 2-year-old and wanting to bounce around and show everybody the great things I could do, and started thinking, oh, well, I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not thin enough for that, or I'm not tall enough for that. And so it was just like, oh, yeah, at some point I did believe that I was good enough. And it was a nice reminder of that. Another thing that she said was she talked about something called poodle science, which is where this idea that the poodles are kind of the judges of the dog world. And they think everybody should look like poodles. You should be the same size as a poodle. The poodles are the perfect version of a dog. The right fur, the right size, the right weight, and all of that. And if we are asking all these other dogs to look like poodles, it's never going to happen because they're not poodles. And I started thinking about trees and how in every other collection of groups in our world, whether it's the groups of flowers, the groups of trees, the groups of rocks, whatever, there is variety and there's diversity because there's meant to be. Not every tree looks like an oak. Not every tree looks like a maple. Not every tree looks like, you know, anything else. They're all meant to be the tree that they are, the tree that their seed was meant to grow into. And they all have their purpose. And it just smacked me across the face because I was like, yes, I know that in my head, but to compare it to this diversity out in the world, the different colors of the leaves, the different colors of the bark, the different shapes in the trees, that's what makes it all so beautiful. So when we say that the best body is this, that, and the other. And only a small, small percentage of the world can claim all of those things. It's just stupid. It's just such an awful way to try and live. Because we are all our own tree. We're all our own flower. And there's no reason why that can't be good enough. Right? No matter the color of our skin, or the length of our hair, or the size of our boobs, or the size of our stomachs, if we could all see ourselves as the perfect being and give ourselves what Sonya Renee Taylor calls radical love, then you can look to other people without any judgment, without any thoughts of anything except that person is absolutely beautiful in who they are too. So I highly recommend the book. It's really, really good. Okay. I do have some other books that I got too, but I'll talk about those next time, I think. They're all natural dyeing and color books that I'm really excited about, but I really haven't started digging into them too much. So once I've gotten into those, I will let you know how they go. The last thing I wanted to tell you guys about is Kaya has decided on her project. I mentioned last time that she was wanting to do something with sewing. She's decided to really narrow it down because she realized that was a very big topic. And what she was excited about the most in the sewing was the details, the embroidery. So she's actually, narrowed it down in a way. She's doing a project on the history of embroidery. Big topic. But she's going to be writing a paper on the history of embroidery. She's going to speak about that at the final project presentation. And she's going to recreate some historical embroidered piece. So that's what she's looking into right now. She's looking up the history of everything related to embroidery. We've got a few books on the way, and then she's going to decide on the piece that she wants to recreate. And that way she can really put the time and attention into that one piece. So I'm excited for her. And you guys have, well, maybe you do have an idea. I was going to say you have no idea, but some of you may have an idea of how excited I am that Kaya has been getting more excited about handwork, because I love it. And so when she wants to come into my office and look at some of the stuff that I've got for embroidery or talk about yarn or thread, I'm like, come on in. It's really exciting. So I look forward to seeing what she creates, and I'll make sure to let you guys know when it's done, and hopefully she'll let me post a picture of that. And if you're interested in the paper, she may let me send that out too. So if you guys are interested, let me know, and maybe I can send that to you also. All right. I think that's it. I think I have one more podcast day before I go to Edinburgh, and then I'll take lots of footage for you while I'm there. I hope you guys have an amazing end to your February, and that you're having a really good week. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey.
Hey everybody. We're back, and I've got Toby in the hot seat now.
Hello.
So he's wearing his new hat, which is...
It's a Hearth and Snow by Ninja Chickens, as they designed it. Yeah.
Yep. Do you remember the yarn?
No.
It was Ancient Fiber Arts.
Ancient Fiber Arts.
Yep. I'll put the link down below so you guys know. And if you want to show it close to the camera, it's got the central braid and then some slip stitches around the edges. You did a fabulous job. What did you think about the knitting? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like the cable work, and I like the slip stitches.
Yeah.
So one, I really like the way it looks, the way it came out, but it was fun to knit too. The what do you call this part?
Ribbing? The
ribbing was frustrating, just because it was, switching a lot between knitting and purling, and I'm not so good at that part yet. But
and originally it was a twisted rib, right? Wasn't it supposed to knit through the back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you made it into a standard ribbing.
Yeah, I made it the standard. We should have brought the other hat. We have one that Maria knit from when she was designing the pattern. that would be good to compare to. So the ribbing looks a little different, but.
Did you change anything else up? You used the same needle size that it called
The same needle size, and this was the same yarn that you knit the test with.
Right.
So
one of
that
them,
was
yeah.
one, yeah. The one that I was basing it off of, and then I didn't change anything else. I didn't change the depth or anything. But this is the pattern has what, 3 sizes? A short, medium, and
super slouchy.
Super slouchy, yeah. So this is the medium or slightly slouchy version. Yeah.
And the cool thing about this hat is, I remember a few years back when he and I were in a small store in downtown Asheville, and he saw these really long hats with big braid down the center, and he was like, this would be fun, you know. And I was like, I could maybe design something like that you could try knitting. And he was like, oh yeah, that might be good. And so I did, and ended up knitting 3 of them because they were quick to knit, and I liked the design, and I wanted all the different stages of the short, the slouchy, and the super slouchy. And so at that point he's like, oh, I don't need to knit it because I've got 3 hats I can wear. So I was excited when he decided he wanted to try this one, and I like how it came out. It was great.
I would like to disagree that it's a quick knit, but that's just because I'm slow. It took me a while.
It didn't take you that long.
It didn't, no. Once I got into it, once I got past the ribbing and got into the body, it went really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. See you later.
Do you want to tell me what you're planting today?
Turmeric and ginger.
Yeah. Because you planted some turmeric last year and really liked the results.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this year we're going to try ginger too, because we happen to have a ginger that's got a nice big sprout on it, and then we have some turmeric that's been sprouting too. So we're going to put those back in the pots and see if we can grow some more this year, because we got a good harvest last year. You want to put them in?